Hello, brothers and sisters in Christ and people of YouTube. Not a lot of people know this because I never got too close to my narcissistic ex's friends. I always found that, I guess I always had my spider senses were tingling, and I would just talk about day-to-day stuff. But like I come from a family of 5 children, me being the youngest, and my dad died when I was 2 years of age. And I remember Mum met this fella that she wasn't really interested in 6 months later at Parents Without Partners, because she was convinced to go there because I think by my elder sister, because she used to just mope around the house and not want to do anything once my father died. And she went there and she met this fella, and he really liked her, so he chased her. Like, he'd come over, like he said to her in their first meeting about something about they were talking about some blockage at the house, and he was saying it's probably your drains on your sewage drains. Like, they don't really have them that much anymore, because newer houses, newer tech. But so he come round and made her eldest son dig them out with him, and after that he'd find other excuses to come round. He wasn't much of an oil painting. Like, he was short, fat, bald, but he could fight. He was from Fitzroy, and he was a very knowledgeable man. Like, he was the best cleaner and a really good cook, and he always worked hard, and the funny thing was, he just chased my mum till she gave up, and it was like the love of her life for, I think, 26 years before he died. But that's why for me, growing up with 4 other siblings, 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and having a man that didn't know any of us just come into our house and actually be a better dad to us than my dad that died. And I don't know if that's 100% true because I never knew the man, but he was just a much better dad than a real dad would be. Like, he treated us like his own biological kids. And so for me, dating a single mum used to just never bother me. I'd always think, well, look at what my dad did with the kids in a time when there were, people weren't rich and didn't have the best jobs, and he still made it work. And we always had like 2 chefs in the kitchen. Like, my stepdad, he'd whip up the best food, and he'd sometimes kick my mum out of the kitchen, and she'd give up. And Mum was a really good cook, but she'd be like, sometimes he's actually better. And so yeah, for me, I've done the stepkid things. This would be like my 2nd time, and the first time was for about 5 years as well. And also in both stages I met the kids when they were 7, and the problems were pretty much identical. I should have picked up on the warning signs earlier, but the parents just couldn't be bothered with their kids. Like, they just wanted to collect money from child support, because basically that's all it's about. And in both cases they had iPads. Why does your kid need an iPad? Like, what's wrong with the TV at home? Something they can sit at, look at, but they can't stare at all day. Like, they have to go and play, or it's fixed, so it doesn't follow them everywhere, and it doesn't become an addiction in the same way. And so when I met the narcissist, it was pretty easy for me to slip in the role of a like guardian or supportive dad. But in this case more than the other one, the kid already had a dad, so that made it harder because he was always trying to teach him his way, and the mum was always trying to teach him her way, and I was just kind of in the middle, you know. But the worst thing for me is the dishonesty that came from both these women. Of they're single mums that are looking for a man, and the trouble is, like, my mum, when she realised that we actually loved our stepdad, she said, "Why don't you start calling him Dad?" You know, and she didn't even get an argument from us. It was just like, "Oh, yeah," you know, because even when he finished work and he was doing like a 60-hour week, sometimes more, and he'd have to work weekends too, he'd come up to us all at night time and check on every single one of us in our room and spend a bit of time with us and talk through our problems, and he'd still have time to clean the house, do stuff in the yard. He was exceptional, you know. But these days, women don't want they don't want a man that leads. They just want an ATM. Like, they're happy to say they don't need you when things in their life go pear-shaped, or, you know, they don't want to take accountability for the problems that they have, like infidelity, like cheating and stealing and lying about everything. Instead of taking accountability, they'd rather create a false life and a house built on a cart of lies. And that's the saddest thing about it, because they say they want a man to lead them and look after the kid, but then when they don't want you, they think they can just delete you, like you're a bit of code on the internet, you know. Now, with my ex, she was so dramatic that she'd want to sit around a table and just gossip with her friends all the time. That's all she'd want to do, or she'd want to tart herself up and go someplace. But she'd never dance or anything. She'd just want to tart herself up, get attention from the men, probably sleep with them, but also just sit around a table gossiping about people. So I had so many people come against me, like I can't even get a job in town because she slandered my reputation. And the thing is, I haven't done anything. I've just lived my life, try to be a good man and be a good husband. But because of her guilt of all the bad things she's done, she's projected it onto me, like, "Oh, you're the cheat, you're the liar, you're this, you're that." And so I haven't done any of that. Like, I'm a man of God, and I take my religion seriously and my God seriously, and that's the sad part. But on the plus side, I know that all those people we used to hang out with are no good for me. Like, they're not good people. They're just a waste of space. So it's actually been a blessing for me to know that I don't have to hang out with these people anymore. And not one of them has gotten off the backside to message me and say, "Oh, how you going, bro?" So that's all you need to know. Like, after 3 months, not one of them has stood up for me. So, yeah, all a man's efforts are quickly forgotten as soon as a woman gets nasty and wants to play victim. And this is probably one of the worst things to happen, because if a man tries to play victim, they just say, "Oh, you're just being a pussy," you know, like, you're just being a coward, you're just not a man. Because why would these things happen to a man, you know? But it's very easy for a woman to convince everybody that you're the problem. And on top of that, one of the things that really stands out with a narcissist, they will take money from any man for anything. And you think, what sort of person takes money outside the family or takes advice outside the family? If you're a good upstanding woman, someone that keeps her legs shut, you would not do this. You'd be like, "Oh no, sorry, I'm married, I've got someone already. Oh no, I'm not going to talk to you, I'm going to just shut you down." But not with a narcissist. They take whatever they can get from as many sources as they can get, which is the most horrifying part, because you think, well, did I catch something off you? Like, I don't feel like I did, because I wasn't getting it very often off you, but you still, it's horrific, because they've had so many sex partners. And my ex used to frequent the Chemist Warehouse and buy a lot of medications and that. And I just think to myself a lot lately, was that for the morning after pills? You know, you didn't play it safe, so you had to go and get some pills to kill the baby in you, which is also something that God hates. It's throwing the children through the fire, you know, with Baal worship. It's it's satanic. Like, we don't have a choice. If you have a kid, you're meant to have it. It's not how science says it's not a baby till it's 3 months. As soon as you do the deed, that's a baby. So that's something you have to live with. But not only do they want to have their cake and eat it too, but they just want to practice unsafe sex, you know. It's quite horrifying, especially when you're the one that was just looking for a nice person to settle down with, and they told you themselves that that's what they were looking for, and yet they never settled down. They never even considered it. They just kept tarting around and being a hoe, you know, like, it's crazy. And the thing is, because these narcissists are single mums, it's like they don't have any modesty. Like, it's never been said to me in my whole relationship, oh, you can't come round because I've got my son, so we can't sleep together. There was no modesty. It's just like, oh, I'll just try and put him to bed, and then away you go. And that's the love bombing stage, obviously, because I didn't really get it that much. And you think, how does this affect the child? Especially like when this mother, just out of the arrogance and their need to get greener pastures, as they call it, like, that kid might have been invested in you even though the mother wasn't. Because I'm not saying the one I dealt with was a full narcissist, but he did learn some stuff off the mother, but there was still some good in him, you know. But yeah, it's just like, there's no thought. They just don't care about the kids. They just want to go and do selfish things for selfish reasons. And they already had the greener pasture. Like, I provided my ex with a bigger house, a nice space where it's peaceful. It was a nice quiet street. We never had any trouble with crime. Everything about it was a blessing, you know. And still not happy. They're just like a bottomless pit. I almost think like a relationship's like a pride of lions, where when the male lion kills another lion's pride leader, he goes around and kills all the kids and he gets the women. And it's almost like you basically have to start again. There's no good comes from dating a single mum. Like, it's in most cases, you know, it used to not be such a problem, but nowadays it's almost like most of those single mums are modern women that want to get what they can get for themselves and are only living selfishly, you know. Like, they view men as ATMs. They have the attitude that they can do anything a man can do, and so they've already left a man. That's why they're single with a kid in the first place. Especially if they've come out on a visa or something, and you're like, well, that says a lot too, you know. It just seems to be the culture of have that man for 4 years and then move on with your visa. And you got to be careful who you let into your circle too. Like these women that sit on Facebook and want to validate themselves for that in Instagram and have all these superficial friends, a lot of those people are not going to like your partner, especially a lot of the men, whether they're married or not married. They're going to think, oh, this woman will take money from anyone, so I'm just going to get in between these two and cause problems, you know. I'll spread some rumours myself. And even the narcissist is not immune to lies themselves, even though they tell a lot. They're not used to other people telling them lies, so it's almost like they've got no filter for it. So it's really easy for them to get tricked as well. So what they do sort of comes back on them. I think the best relationships I've had in my life have been with women that have not had a big digital footprint. Like they've had less than 60 people on their Facebook. They didn't have all these other apps, you know. You could just trust them because you get with one of these modern women, single mums, that are generally narcissists or they're just selfish and in it for themselves. You can't trust them. Like I'm the sort of man that thinks, well, I should be able to, you know, go to the gym or do a few things by myself and still be trusted. And likewise, I should be able to do that with my partner. And I used to give my my ex a long leash. Like I'd be like, well, I don't want to go to these parties with these people, but you can. And I would think, you know, she doesn't really drink, so it should be fairly safe to send her to a party that's full of other mums and that are, most of them are married, right? But it turns out it wasn't. But I know better now. And it's just a thing where you have to be really careful nowadays who you date and who you end up married with. Like you have to really take your time to get to know that person, because if I'd taken more time to get to know this woman, I would not have bought a house with her. I probably wouldn't have been coming up every weekend like I was. I would have just gone, oh nah, she's toxic, you know. And the signs were there, but because we rushed into it, it's like the trauma bond's already there as well, you know. So yeah, I just think in the future I'm going to take my time with things, because even with friendships, like you can't be friends with a lot of people. Most people, they either already have their friends and they're going to just scheme against you because they don't like you, or they're just not looking, you know, like they're just not open to it. And so you have to be real careful who you let in your circle. Plus 90% of the people in the world are just so negative. Like they don't have any positivity in them. And me having such a hard upbringing, like being raised by a man from Fitzroy who was tough as nails, and he always made me show up for things. Like I wasn't allowed to wag school, you know, I had to go, and he'd make sure I went, you know. And yeah, but there's not many people of character nowadays. Like most people are so empty inside and just so weak, you know. I've even moving here, with all the stuff my ex caused, that I would lose jobs, and the places I worked, they made a lot of fun of me and just try to make me do dirty jobs to like sort of ridicule me. And the funny thing was, I always had a smile on my face. Like they couldn't break me. And even when I left some of those jobs, they still hadn't broken me. They just wanted to destroy my spirit. And you know, I don't see the point. I'm not going to change and be negative just because of circumstances, you know. Like even before I was a man of God, I had this positivity about me. Like I always try to look on the bright side of things, and that's God. Like God's always been with me. And even when I didn't acknowledge him, he's always been there. And I guess I always had one foot in the whole time, you know, because I knew he was there. I just didn't know how to accept him. But that's a lot of the problem with people. They're that full of darkness that they can't accept that there's a loving God out there, because they haven't experienced love themselves, you know. So like sometimes it's people's upbringing, it can be culture, you know, it can be all these different things. Like in Vietnam, where my ex is from, being from the streets, all you're worried about is how to earn a quick dollar. And so it's part of her upbringing is the reason why she's so cutthroat and selfish, and everything's me, you know, because she didn't have a lot. But you got to get past the schoolyard bully, and you got to grow up at some point in your life. And a lot of these narcs, they're still the schoolyard bully. Like they're still going around the schoolyard in their 40s, and that's really sad, because they could be leading a much better life. And it's all about mindset. If they're going to have their mind in a negative way, and they're not going to mature, they're not going to work on themselves, they're always going to be stuck in life. Like, it doesn't matter how many opportunities come their way, they're going to fail at them because they don't have the mindset, you know. Like, when you live in a defeatist attitude all the time, you get defeated. And that's what a narcissist is like. They try and rob and cheat and steal and break other people down so that they can get opportunities. Like, instead of going after them themselves based on their merit and their skills, they try to drag other people down so that position will open, and they can say, see, I told you that person was no good. Maybe they just kept baiting them until they eventually bit, and then they're like, oh, see, I filmed it. They were getting all ragey with me, and it's like, they only raged out because they'd probably put up with it for months, and they just didn't know how to deal with it, so it came out, you know. It doesn't make them a bad person. And it doesn't matter what you go through in life, as long as you have peace, and if you have God, you'll have even more peace, you know. And God says not to worry about what you wear or what to eat, you know. Like, He'll provide these things for us. So there's no need to worry. Yeah, so what I was just basically trying to say was, you know, go on the hunt for positive people. Look for people in your life that celebrate you, and don't look at you as weird, you know, just because they can't understand you, and they have no idea how much strength you have in you. It's a shame, like, growing up as an 80s kid, people were so much nicer. Like, before we had this internet, and before we had iPads and all this crap that people stare at for hours and hours, people were so much nicer, and we still had TV, we still had Nintendo, we still had games, we still had arcades that you could play games. But you didn't sit on them your whole life. And I think that's the difference, especially women being narcissists. Like, you couldn't just go and sleep with everyone and go and sleep with people's husbands, because it was risky. Like, you had to actually approach them and find a way to make it happen. But now all they got to do is send a text message to them, and their wife wouldn't even know. You know, like, it's so dishonest the way people live these days. And even could just be someone that's a workmate that you know, oh, I don't like that guy, I think there's something wrong with him, you know, and they start little groups, they start little Facebook groups and gang stalk you and harass you, you know. And yeah, it's another beautiful day today at the beach with lots of seaweed. Although, yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, so people form these little secret groups, and they think they'll never get caught out because there's no evidence on the internet. Like, you know, all it takes is an investigator and they can find all that information in a few seconds. But they still think they can get away with it. They still think God isn't watching when they gang up on people. And you think, how threatened are these people by one person? Like, I had a major part of the town come after me, and I'd done nothing. I was just like, why do you feel threatened just because I have a positive attitude and a smile on my face? Just because I keep showing up, you know? It's like, these people are threatened. Their demons are threatened because of, you know, your light. And yeah, so you just got to keep on shining your light. Try and find those needle in the haystack, those good people that actually want to see you succeed, that aren't chasing after your wife, not because she's anything pretty, but just because they can, like, you know, cures the boredom in their marriage, you know, like, just silly things really. But yeah, just want to say, God bless all of you. Jesus loves you. I love you, and just keep on trucking.